Welcome to Sofia, Bulgaria, where I'm staying at my friend's house. And I was just editing a longer video that I recently recorded, and I'm not very happy with the video overall. I think it's a little bit too slow paced, etc. So what I decided to do is take one part of the video that I really liked and that I think has a lot of value, and to publish just this as part of this video here. So just to give you some context why there's no real introduction, why there's no real closing to the video, it's just a snippet. So enjoy. And I wanted to talk to you guys about the idea of having a plan B. So I really believe that one of the most detrimental concepts that was pushed in the personal development space over the last few years is that you should never have a plan B, that you need to burn all the boats. And I understand where it comes from, and I'll share that with you. But the truth is that I've never heard a really successful person or a really high-level operator in any area talk about this, unless they were trying to sell you something and sound like they have the one perfect solution for everything. Now, the truth is, I understand where they're coming from. They say that you can only succeed if you are really locked in and focused on what you do. And of course, there is some truth to that, but there are much better ways to do that. And we'll talk about that in a second. But the truth is that every high-level operator, whether it's in the military, Delta Force, SEAL Team 6, but also in business, the highest level business people, they always have a plan B. They always have a contingency, something they can fall back to when their initial plan doesn't work out or something comes up that they didn't expect, that they didn't plan for. Why? Because if you don't have a plan B, if you don't have a contingency, then all you can do is either freeze and do nothing, or you can be reactive and act in the moment without having a plan. And that is never good, right? So you want to have a plan. And I'll give you a very practical example. Whenever your main plan, your plan A, so to speak, is going to the gym in the evening, and you know it's going to take you an hour 30, and then something comes up, for example, because a business meeting goes longer than you plan, or some family member calls you and needs something from you, and you simply cannot make time to go to the gym. If you don't have a fallback plan, what usually happens is you don't train, you feel bad about not training, you're angry at yourself for having somebody else prioritize your schedule. But if instead you had a plan B, something you could fall back to, then what could you do? Well, all of a sudden you could do something. You wouldn't feel bad about yourself. You would still stick to your plan, even if it's not your main plan. It's your contingency plan. And that could be, for example, what I like to do with regards to training is have a 20-minute home workout routine that I can do when I don't make it to the gym. Now, there might be a day where I cannot even make the 20-minute home workout routine because I come home too late and I don't want to train right before sleeping because then my heart rate is up because I'm not going to fall asleep. So I might have a plan C for these situations. What I do is I do a 12-minute stretching routine, which is very meditative, and it will maybe even help me fall asleep faster, and I can do it just before going to sleep. So that way you always have a contingency. A different example could be if your plan is to meditate every day and you want to meditate 20 minutes, you need to have a backup plan because there will be days where you forget and you just don't have time. Let's say you met a girl in the evening, she's sleeping over for the first time. Are you really going to sit down and meditate in front of her? Probably not, right? So in those cases, you could have a fallback plan that could be, well, if I don't have 20 minutes, then I'll do 10 seconds in my head. Just close my eyes and try to bundle my focus. Use the focus on your fingertips, whatever it is, right? There can always be a fallback plan. Now, I told you that I don't think that not having a plan B is the best solution. So here are two better things to do. The first one is I want you to stop thinking as failure as a real thing, because failure is not real. Failure is only real once it becomes permanent. And it only becomes permanent once you accept failure. So most of the time, the things we consider failure is because we gave up, right? If you want to achieve a goal, you need to think of all of the obstacles that come as stepping stones. You're like, okay, this didn't work. What else could work? Or how could I do it better? For example, when I create content, a lot of the videos I create don't get any traction. So I ask myself, well, what could I have done better in those videos? And what goes hand in hand with this is a concept that I got from watching interviews with Delta Force and SEAL Team 6 operators or Navy SEAL operators. And what they say is that they are taught to be able to find a solution in any situation they get thrown in. It might not be the best solution, but through their skill, their expertise, and their experience, they are able to trust that their decision that they make will lead to a great outcome. It might not be the best outcome, but it will be an outcome that gets them closer to their goal. And that takes away this fear of making a wrong decision, the fear that leads you to freeze. And instead you can continue. You can just take what happens as feedback and like, oh, that didn't work. Well, let's find a different thing because I still want to move closer towards my goal.